soon, an hour and a half, right, with less clothes on, because this, you get acclimatized. But I can see, look, uh, everybody else thinks this is a great job. You're brave. One of the sheikhs, the Shia sheikhs, when there's a program over there, I tell you where he's at. You know that big, beautiful Masjid in Detroit, in the Shia neighborhood? It looked like they brought it over from Baghdad somewhere. The sheikh there, I won't tell you his name, but you know his name. I saw him down at the convention center. He was walking with one of the brothers. The brother was a snitch from L.A., and I knew he was a snitch. Of course, I can't stop and say, that's a snitch there. But not everybody. Everybody's not a snitch. Let's clear that. Everybody, like 100% of the people, it's just high 90s. Anyway, he said, Imam Musa, the bravest man in America. And I was just saying to myself, they think it's brave because they scared to death. It ain't brave. It's normal. This is our job. This is our job. It's like if we didn't do this, I couldn't rest. I can rest now because I done did my little 2 minutes. Shoot, I'm going to take off all afternoon after I go get some, what's the name? I'm going to be off today, boy. I'm going to just kick back and I may watch a movie. I do what I feel like today, but I get busy tomorrow because, you earn a little time off. The point is this. Hey, man, like the fowl of the air, the fish of the sea, make dua. Remember, there's nothing between the petition, there's no petition between Allah and the dua of the oppressed. Okay, people don't believe that. I don't care whether they believe it. That's what's different. Hey, y'all, you don't believe it? That's your business. That's your problem. I do, right? We do. That's it. Yeah, but I no, it ain't no yeah, but. The last thing I'd like to say is maybe the brothers haven't had enough life experience. Maybe they thought if if their wife would have had maybe a little lighter skin and a little stringier hair, they would have been happier. As they did. Or maybe if some dumb stuff would have been happening, they would be happy. That's not necessarily true. All I can say is I had a chance to have all those things and have them at a nice age, and when it wasn't, and I got out of the game before it got really dangerous. We ran stuff so smooth in Oakland that it wasn't no big death rate. In fact, that's why the Vice Squad liked to keep me in, because they could eat donuts. They knew how I was. The death rate is down. They could eat donuts and drink coffee. They didn't have to do nothing. It was a dumb, they call them like here, they call them the jump out squad. They maybe wear some pants and a bulletproof vest. They're not, then we used to call them crime prevention in Oakland. Young, dumb white boys that just, the Vice hated them because the Vice knew how to run things their way. If you just let us, but they couldn't get that past no police authorities because the Vice Squad, one of the guys was red, freckle-faced, and it was 3 or 4 prostitutes had children that was had freckles on. So everybody knew but everything worked, without, what I mean, trauma. So this is the big guy. Big guy, we're going to bring you down. So when I left, the income Felix Mitchell them and the death rate go from 0 to I don't know 50 or 60 a year, beating up people's mama and stuff like that. You know, uh, because the other criminal vice squad, I'm gonna just tell you this and that. One time, one of the brothers with me, before I bought him a new Cadillac himself, he was driving one of my older Cadillacs. It was a bad boy, it was white with a gangster window, you know, them little windows in the back. It done nothing to anybody else, but for us, the nigga got a gangster window. That is, you know, you have to get them special from the convertible place, and nobody knew where to buy them except a couple. In fact, there was only two with a gangster window. And so, you know, that make you feel like you're hiding and everything. Anyway, so on 73rd and Bancroft, he wrecked one of my cars. So technically, the vice was chasing him. So when somebody called me, there was a phone booth there. They called me, and I came down. When I got there, the vice was there, the whole vice squad, and then my whole crew, which were all ex or close to Black Panthers, everybody got on black, and they leaning forward like they pistols, so that when I get there and pull up, I drove through everything, pulled up. So Romero was head of the vice at that head of that crew. So I said, hey, what's going on? So, you know, said, oh, you're gonna have to get a new driver, you know. And so when I would walk back to my crew, they would be saying, we can take these guys. And I'm telling them with a big smile, we're not here to fight with the police or to have a shootout. This is insanity. You know what I'm saying? Had a big smile. Just so stand down. Y'all stand down. Relax. You know, not here. The Negroes shoot it out with the police. The police, you know, I told them later, I said, if you have a shootout, idiot, 5 of y'all get killed, and maybe 6 of them get killed since it was more, and y'all practice a little bit, probably more than they do as much. So it's bad numbers. I said, plus, after you didn't kill all them police, what, you gonna just deal all the dope you want? You ain't gonna deal no more dope. I said, that's what we do. We make money. We don't shoot at the police. And they could pick up on that, you know, and so after that, I didn't have no more trouble with the vice. The ones that's their job to stop us. It was with them dumb white boys that read magazines about crime. They call them crime prevention. The vice said, let the nigga gonna he keeps the death rate down because he don't want nobody, niggas killing each other. So we don't have to leave the office. We could donuts. It's coffee and donuts all day. We can ride around, right? That's what they want to do. You think they want to go out shooting at people and getting shot at? No. So the reason we got so much money, we made sure everybody get money, and it's peace and freedom. Nobody's gonna, you don't have to shoot nobody. I'd solve all the problems. Nego me some money. How much money he owe you? How did it happen? I tell you what. Well, 5,000 solved the problem. 5,000 cash money. Yeah, this solved the problem. Shoot, yeah, man, it definitely solved the problem. I said, well, here you go. Here's 3 cash money. Well, that solved the problem. That's a long time ago. That's a lot of money. Yeah, that solved the problem. Well, y'all shake hands. fact, niggas ought to hug each other. Y'all ought to hug it. For all this money I'm spending, you know what I mean? And I don't want to hear none of that. That's the way we ran Oakland. During those parts of the 60s and early, it was East Oakland Enterprises, for black people. You don't kill each other. That's from being in jail a lot, where the crew you could really trust is black people, because there's whites, Mexicans, and blacks in the joint. So when there's a riot, you don't have to worry. Everybody's gonna look and see, where's my people going, and they're gonna be blocked up, with their crew, safety and numbers. So anyway, so it was a crime prevention, and the feds wanted to get rid of us. It wasn't the vice squad and Oakland, the ones that know you. Hey man, what's going on? They stop by to see. Hey man, I mean, it wasn't no shenanigans like you pay off, you do any snitching. It's just that they know. Hey man, this nigga with all them niggas, they don't want to have shoot. And I think when everybody, that's all they want to have is a shootout. And you saying, who needs to shoot it out with the police? It's insanity. Well, some of the police need it, but not the vice squad. The vice squad is they crooked as you are. In fact, you're better than, you're more honest than they are. You know what I mean? They got babies that can, everybody know it. This prostitute is a pretty lady, got freckles, and this vice squad guy got 3 kids, but she got 3 kids, and everybody know, they red looking, he's red, it's just, yeah. And it ain't no big deal. Okay, that kind of police department you can get along with. That's why, and I'll close with this, the people didn't understand why I didn't mind, I almost liked the police department here in D.C. when I got here. Do you remember that they used to have a Black Patrolmen's Association or something? You'd hear them on WPFW. And they talk, do you remember how they used to talk? Good God. And then I run over there, and when I wanted the police, man, the trails I would be running right over there. They'd be back in there. They'd been out partying all week. I'm telling you, I saw the police. One was in the front seat with his feet hanging out that window. One was in the back street, just laid up. And I just run right by him on the trail. I could have shot him or did anything. And then the other shady spot, they'd hide. See, everywhere I run, that's where I see the police. And I said, man, this is wonderful, because in L.A., you feel, like the helicopters and all that, you feel oppressed. And if you make one false move, you're a dead man. That's their reputation. But D.C., I said, man, these are the nicest police I've ever seen. All they want to do is be left alone, right? And then some of the people, they had a murder case and they shoot. The black people said, I'm not convicting no more black kids to send a black kid to prison. That was, you was here then. The jury said, we're just not going to do it. That was the attitude then. And then to prove it, when Marion Barry, he went to the penitentiary, he got caught having sex in the visiting room, and he was working at the powerhouse, and he came out of the penitentiary after the lady snitched on him and got a job right back, the same job he had as the mayor. And he told the white folks, y'all got to get over that. But that's the way our people would see. So you could see, and I would tell Christopher, that was his son, hey man, he was a Muslim. I say, hey man, you tell your daddy anytime he come by here, he could, because Christopher, when I came, he was only about 10 years old. Yeah. But tell your daddy, he can come by here and he can have the show. I mean, we don't believe in politics, but he wasn't considered like he was a uncle, like you got an uncle, all black people got an uncle that is just, white folks call them knaves and all kind of old names, but black people, that's their uncle, you know what I mean? And everybody in their family got one of them, right? Everybody got one of them guys. And he reminds us of a family member. And his rule, hey man, whatever department you work in, if you work in the ticket department, you can tab all the tickets you want. And if you work when I got here and I needed stickers for cars, they was $35, remember that? You could get anything you wanted. DC was just right. I mean, you didn't, hey man, hey, you didn't have to break the law. The law was already broke, right? And all you had